just checked this out from the library today. It's called We Need Your Art. I cannot see who the author is, but I was just flipping through it and I landed on a random page and I was reading this passage about being witnessed. And let me try and actually find that page. Okay, I'm going to read about 2 paragraphs of 1 page. Hopefully I don't get copyright strike. No matter what the economists say, no matter what the acquaintances at the party say, we must understand the power of the arts. We invest so much time and money in breath work, exercise, meditation courses, cold plunges, self-help, or whatever item might be on the checklist this month. But the idea that writing a poem, playing with paints, or taking photos could be a part of our routine is dismissed as not proper self-care. Art feels a little too embarrassing, and it's definitely a bit too vulnerable. But the vulnerability is why it's life-changing. It's this intimacy that makes creativity a practice that will enhance your life. At the end of an incredible meditation or breathwork session, you have had to confront yourself, your mind, your ego. You have witnessed yourself. And it is so beautiful and beneficial. At the end of a creative session, you have also had to confront yourself, your mind, and your ego. You have had to witness yourself, and then you made something with it. You have a culmination, an alchemy, physical evidence. You have a little bit of you in art form. I'll say it again. Creativity is the missing pillar in self-development. I really wanted to just kind of focus on that part where I was talking about being witnessed. I feel like that's very important to kind of create a space, a world for yourself where it is safe enough for you to be witnessed. And I bring this up and I bring this up because it resonates with me. I was having a conversation with someone today about being witnessed, not just in a sense of like your happiest moments, but being witnessed in your mistakes as well. This person was telling me about a mistake that they made where they knew going in that they weren't really comfortable with this action that they did, but they did anyway because they felt vulnerable and they felt scared that they were feeling vulnerable. And so instead of making space for themselves to feel that vulnerability, they chose an action that ultimately hid that vulnerability, where they ran away from feeling the vulnerability, and in turn it hurt themselves and another person emotionally. I mean, no one was physically hurt, but it had an emotional impact on both parties. And I told this person that I really appreciated that they shared this with me, because I recognized that at the time they ran away from their vulnerability, but now they're choosing to try and face it, to admit to their mistakes, to admit that they were afraid in the beginning, and that they chose the action that they did because they were afraid, and that they couldn't really face that fear. And they opened up to me, and they admitted their mistake. And I didn't judge them because I couldn't. I didn't understand really the context of when and how and why they made that decision. I wasn't there. I wasn't anywhere close to there. And I also recognize that while they don't condone their actions, I recognize that we're all allowed to make mistakes. That I've certainly made actions that turned out to be mistakes that hurt other people as well. And that we're allowed to learn and grow from our mistakes. We're allowed to not be perfect. We're allowed to doubt ourselves, to fear. But at the same time, we're also allowed to create space for ourselves to exist imperfectly. And I feel like that passage from this book, it introduces a beautiful way to kind of make that happen, to make art, make art that you don't always need to share with the public, but just for yourself. Just create a little world for yourself where you get to express yourself, express your fears, express your happiness, your passions, your doubts, your confusion. In a way, this channel is kind of my little world that I share with, online. Because for me, this is a snapshot of who I am. Because right now, it's just me and the camera. And then when I post it, that's the snapshot of me in this moment, frozen in time. The me that you're watching now, won't ever move forward, won't ever move backwards. So what you're interacting with is just a moment in time. And I kind of like that. It kind of creates this, I guess, glimpse into this world that I'm building piece by piece. And it's a glimpse as well for myself. It's a glimpse in the past. It's a glimpse of, I guess, how I grew. And I've had some very lovely comments so far. Remember one of the first ones, first couple, complimented me on my first video. And, I had expressed that, I was feeling very nervous in this in this video while recording this video, and they replied back and said, "Oh, really? It didn't seem like you were nervous. You know, you seem very natural at this," and you know that really warmed my heart, because I, you know, in comparison, now I do feel a little more confident talking to a camera. But I feel like each of us needs to kind of create our own worlds where there's no pressure to perform, there's no pressure to meet any expectations. It's just a space to be, to kind of meet yourself there, you know? I feel like that's very, very important, to kind of be able to have a space where even if you share publicly, it kind of, you know, it can be viewed, but it can't be really touched, you know? Like nothing can really sour the experience, really. I don't know. I think this is kind of just, for me, like this channel is an ongoing experiment of like, it's, well, actually, truth be told, it's more like a challenge for me, where I'm challenging myself to, you know, continuously, or to like keep up with the uploads of, you know, these videos, where, because I started out, again, like pretty like self-conscious and nervous about the way I speak, and because the way I speak is tied to how I process things, and so as I'm speaking, I am processing and rewriting and kind of doing all that filtering, you know, in real time, out loud, and I'm trying to be less ashamed of that, because I was for a very long time, and I guess this channel could be said like this is a self-administered exposure therapy, where not only do I have to talk at the camera, I have to listen back to me talking to the camera when I'm editing these videos. And so for me, like, again, like this is definitely like a small little space, a small little world where I'm allowed to exist as I am, where I'm able to kind of just meet myself, you know? So I hope that in a way, while it's not necessarily my goal, I hope that in a way these videos could maybe inspire somebody else to kind of, I guess, meet themselves where they are, you know? Take, or maybe like face an insecurity, and or like learn to kind of let go of the shame and the guilt of not being able to meet certain expectations. I think my main goal is just, I hope you guys, you know, enjoy these random talks, these ramblings of mine, and maybe find some relaxation through it all. I'm really excited to read that book, or to finish reading the rest of it. I'm kind of at the beginning, kind of. I mean, I skipped the actual beginning and kind of just landed on that page. Maybe that's how I should read it. Yeah, just kind of not read it in a linear manner. What's that? other people have made art similar to your art, it is not a cause for panic. It isn't a threat. It's proof of market. There's room for you. You know, unironically, that pretty much kind of hit on like my own anxiety of like this kind of like format of videos, because it's like I always will, you know, title these like lo-fi ASMR, but you know, I'm literally just talking at the camera and using my voice as the main, I guess, like ASMR sound or like trigger or whatnot. And you know, like, and I see like other soft spoken or like whispering ASMR channels, and they do a lot of like hand movements and, you know, a lot of just personal attention stuff, you know. And it kind of made me, I guess, a little self-conscious, because I go, you know, I question like, oh, should I be doing that? Like, is that what's expected of me? Is that, you know, whatever. And I feel like the way that I was able to cut through that, you know, creative anxiety spiral is just to realize that there are other creators that aren't necessarily in the ASMR sphere, but, you know, maybe it's more like podcast style, where it's just them talking to a microphone and that's it. Like, there's nothing else to it, and, you know, and they have maybe they have a scripted message, or kind of something that's a little more organized than I do it, but it works, and it works for them, and it's sustainable for them. And that's kind of where I landed on. It's like, what is sustainable for myself, you know, because the thing that I'm starting to understand about anxiety is anxiety is just this worry that anxiety is when you start is let me see if I can actually get my thoughts strung together in something comprehensible. Anxiety is just the wish. Anxiety is your wish for wanting to do something you can't do yet. Does that make sense? Like, let me stop quoting this book. Anxiety is wishing you can do something you can't quite do yet. Like, you're trying to do more than your means, is what I'm getting at. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. Like, it's just kind of, I think, like, it just kind of illustrates, like, for right now, like, it's kind of out of your control, right? Like, you're trying to, it's not accepting your limits, and it's also like subconsciously saying to yourself that having limits is a bad thing, or that, you know, like, it, I mean, I guess it kind of boils down to like you're aiming for perfection, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, like, that's kind of how I am starting to understand anxiety, is just by realizing, like, hey, you're like trying to push beyond what you can currently do, but it's not to say that you can never measure up to, you know, the standard that you have for yourself. It's just, you're not there yet. You know, you can't really be there yet because you haven't really built up to it, you know. It's like muscle building. You know, I mean, I do not know anything about weightlifting or strength building beyond, you know, increasing my archery draw weight poundage. which I guess is strength training, but for a very particular muscle group. Like for me, like I'm at the lower end, right? Like I'm currently at 20 pounds, which is, for a beginner, that's actually like normal. To have an expectation for me as a beginner archer to immediately be able to like draw 45 pounds because I don't know, someone younger than me can draw 45 pounds, and they're, you know, I guess like physically around like this, we're around the same size or whatever. It's ridiculous, right? And I'm at that point, you know, like I'm just trying to go above my means right now, like and shaming my own shaming my own limitations, and kind of, you know, disregarding proper and safe progression. Like if I try to draw a 45-pound bow, I would seriously, first of all, I wouldn't be able to do it. But if I were to like try and force myself, I would seriously injure myself, and that's no fun. You know, so it's like going back to that quote and then like applying it to, you know, feeling a little self-conscious about the formats and the way that I film or not film these videos of mine, where I feel like I need to be doing something like more kind of ASMR like, you know, and add like, I don't know, like other like mouth sounds or something like that, you know, or do like up close kind of like touching on like the camera, like personal attention kind of esque, like ASMR stuff. It's like, first of all, you know, do I want to do that? And second of all, like, is it fun? And that's the most important question, right? Because if it's not fun, it's not sustainable, right? I'm gonna like not enjoy something like that performative, you know, and it's gonna kind of seep into like how I move and etc., you know, and so like I'm just gonna be super stiff, and it's just not gonna be a good time. And so I have to accept possibly those are my limitations to, you know, this channel of mine. And it's like, and it's okay, you know, it's okay that I am not like other talking ASMR channels, but at the same time, it's okay that there may be like other, you know, I just talk in a soft spoken tone and I just talk at the camera. Like there may be other channels that are better than me at it. I think that it is perfectly fine to just do what you do best, right? Once again, creating that space for you to be witnessed, to find yourself, to exist without pressure, without internal pressure to meet external expectations, and without external pressures of trying to, you know, project possibly, you know, what they want from you, what they want to see from you. I think that's where I'm gonna end it. Yeah, that feels good. I fear that if I try and force anything else, I'll just be continuously repeating myself. So I hope that this was somewhat enjoyable. And thank you again for watching and listening if you made it this far. Goodbye, everyone.